I, colleagues, the time now is 4 minutes past 7, and we're going to start the council meeting. Item number 1 of the agenda is the Mayor's welcome to receive welcome by the Town Mayor, together with explanation of rules and conduct of remote meeting. So I'd like to welcome councillors and members of the public to this Zoom webinar. Please put your phones on mute. This full council meeting is chaired by the Mayor and hosted by the Town Clerk, who will admit people to the meeting. Before I commence, there are a few housekeeping items to note. This is a formal council meeting that will allow the agenda, that will follow the agenda as distributed by the Town Clerk. Please respect the office of council and remember the required standards of courteous conduct and discussion are the same whether in remote or in face-to-face meetings. Eating and drinking during this meeting is not permitted. In line with face-to-face council meetings, drinking of water is permitted. As with our usual meetings, members of the public will be given the opportunity to speak during public participation once invited to do so by the chair. The clerk has the ability, at the request of the chair, to mute or remove anyone who causes a nuisance. I assume this won't be necessary. Please set your device to mute when not speaking. As in our actual meetings, please make sure your comments are made via the chair. Should a member wish to speak, please do raise your hand. If you don't catch my eye, please message me via the chat function. I'm sure that Dan and Hugh will nudge me if I'm missing somebody. I'll try and acknowledge that request to speak has been received. Please be advised that this meeting may be recorded and published. Meetings or part of meetings from which the press and public are excluded may not be filmed or recorded. Voting will take place in the same manner as previous virtual meetings. The clerk will call each councillor by name to vote. Councillors will cast a vote by stating clearly for, against, or abstain. The Town Clerk will then announce the result. Item number 2 are apologies. To receive any apologies for non-attendance. At the time of agenda dispatch, there were none. Are there any apologies?
Mr. Mayor, I've received no apologies. So I am aware there are two counts. Oh, sorry, Councillor Butler.
Butler.
Yep. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that I've just been in touch with Councillor Newmark and Councillor Chalice, and they will be running slightly late. They're just setting up their Zoom now, so hopefully they'll be with us in the next few moments. So apologies for that, Mr. Mayor, and to the meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. Any other apologies?
No.
Item number 3, declarations of interest. To receive declarations of interest from councillors on items on the agenda, to receive written requests for dispensations for declarable interests, and to grant any requests for dispensation as appropriate. Are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Collins.
Yeah.
Councillor Collins.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Lord Mayor. I wish to declare that I'm a member of St. Michael's and All Angels, and there's one on the agenda. So
5-3. Yes.
Yeah, 5-3.
5 Roman numeral 3.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. Are there any other declarations of interest? My understanding is that one can declare an interest during the proceedings.
That's correct.
Item number 4 is to approve and adopt the minutes of the full council meeting held on the 2nd of September 2020. Councillor Butler.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I can just make a comment, please, regarding, I suppose you could call it item 22. It's under community grants. Again, just to highlight the Bournemouth Football Club there, I just want to say that I believe that we made the comment that rather than it to be reverted to the budgeted grant, that it be a marketing budget. I'm a bit concerned still over this this grant and the fact that we're looking to advertise. So I'd still want this to go to GMC from that minute. and also that to be changed, because it should be saying marketed budget and not just budgeted grant, basically, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Parnell, do you have a comment as chair of GMC?
No, because I thought this was right. Hugh, we discussed it. Isn't it this the right wording?
Well, I think you're, without wishing to give an equivocal answer, I think you're both right, through you, Mr. Mayor, in the sense that, yes, it was agreed that it wouldn't be a community grant in the future, but there are a number of budgeted grants. It's just, there's not one budgeted grant. There's a budgeted grants for Better and a budgeted grants for, there used to be one for Elstree Screen Heritage. This, in effect, would be a budgeted grant, but be one for specifically for marketing. Councillor Barr writes, it will be considered by GMC when you look, I said at the previous meeting, when that committee looks at the budget in the round anyway. So I think you're both right, and I'm sure council has noted that you are unhappy with the, or uncomfortable, I should say, with the grants as it stood going forwards into future years, and it can be discussed by the committee appropriately at that time. So I think we're good in the world, really, with this item.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could just to clarify what I understand there. So basically, I just wanted that to be a note changed on that from budgeted grant to marketing grant, or marketing budget rather, just to say that that's where it would be agreed from. That was all.
Well, we can call
it's just the wording.
Grants and marketing
budget.
Councillor Parnell.
Budgeted grant.
Sorry.
It is a budgeted grant, though. That's what we discussed. What
the wording budgeted grant means that it's going to be a regular grant application. For me, a marketing grant is it's marketed because it's advertisement. So it's just the wording.
What marketing means, Richard.
I appreciate that, but it's just it's the wording that I'm uncomfortable with. That's all I'm asking for.
We could discuss the wording at GMC. That's fine.
Okay.
So are we able to approve these minutes? Or does any other member have any comments regarding the minutes? Approved.
Agreed.
Agreed minute, just not that wording.
Okay,
yeah. Well,
so that wording will be discussed at GMC, and we'll approve the minutes subject to the wording to be approved by GMC.
We can decide at GMC, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. Item number 5, community grants and special grants. Due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, the scheduled November GMC meeting was postponed to January 2021. In addition, 3 grant applications were received after the scheduled date. Full council is asked to consider the following grant applications. Community grants awarded to date in 2020-21.
That's simply a list of the grants that have been awarded thus far. Mr. Chairman. Yeah.
So I'm just going to miss out those grants. I'm just going to go to the first item for a new grant. The applicant is
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I need to interrupt you because I have something to read out before we actually start the grant. So,
Councillor Parnell, please go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, the GMC, this is a statement our group has got together. The GMC have been dealing with the community grants through the year, and we now have £3,432 left in the budget. Both groups have met separately and discussed the merits of the applications. All Saints have requested £500 for studio lights to better illuminate webcasts. I would like to propose that we make this grant in full. I'm proposing that, and I don't know if we can propose and second it now, or I just read this out and then we can do it of each item. Pat wants to speak, so.
Well, yeah, so do I, Mr. Mayor, but I'm waiting for the instructions.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Councillor Strack and Councillor Butler. Councillor Strack.
Thank you,
Councillor Parnell, we're going to deal with the Jewish Life Centre application first of all, because that is the first one on the agenda, then we will deal, because that is to be funded from the entertainment budget. What you're talking about are two requests for
Yes.
the community grants.
Okay.
So are we all right to go ahead now and talk about the grant for the Jewish Life Centre menorah lighting?
I'm just going to let Councillor Richard Butler make a comment first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that, you know, we have the agenda in front of us and we should really just be following this agenda. So I'd like to take on board what Councillor Strack just said there, and let's move on with application number 1. I appreciate that both groups have actually had meetings and discussed the applications and obviously gone through the agenda, but it's not for one group to decide whether they have the majority of the council or not without a discussion and a fully open and frank debate for the members of the public to see how the meetings are run. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So we're going to go ahead and we're going to follow the agenda as received. The first grant, the applicant is the Chai Centre, otherwise known as the Centre for Jewish Life. Councillor Strack.
Right, these are very difficult times and nothing looks the same this year as in any previous year. The Jewish Life Centre, along with other Jewish groups in Hertsmere, have proposed to run menorah lighting as a drive-in to try to have a COVID-safe event. This is intended as a time of fun and family celebration. As with all major events, permission must be sought from Hertsmere Borough Council to ensure that the event is safe for the public. This year, it has been even more onerous for event organisers to satisfy the COVID-19 team at Hertsmere Borough Council that the event will be safe. The Borough COVID-19 team have not yet been able either to decline or to say yes to any of the 5 events planned across the borough. This will depend entirely what government regulations are in place. It was expected that announcements would be made on Monday, but we must now wait until Thursday to find out what tier Hertsmere is in and what measures will need to be in place for large events. The Town Council have cancelled the fireworks and decided that the Christmas light switch on cannot go ahead. There will be a virtual event. As Chair of Entertainment Committee, I welcome the opportunity for the Town Council to be able to contribute to the event. The original request was for half the event costs of £1,500, i.e. £7,500.
Oh, no, 15,000.
15,000, sorry, can't read my own figures.
£7,500, Councillor Strack.
It was the request. Requests were to be made to Hertsmere Borough Council and to county councillors for some money towards this. Corporate sponsorship was also requested. Having discussed this with my colleagues in my group, I would like to make a proposal in a moment. I understand that money has been promised from other sources. Our group has discussed the matter and decided what we think is a reasonable amount. While I understand the urgency of getting the event set up as time was fast approaching, concerns have been raised that we are now being asked for a retrospective grant. However, in the spirit that the Town Council would want to support this, we would like to support it still. Any grant applications must come in with all the paperwork requested in good time. The event is sold out. It has been explained that this is really a turn of phrase and that it is usual to ask for donations. So our grant that we will be giving will be to something like 1,000 to 1,500 of citizens, residents of Boreham Wood. And I would like to propose that we make a grant of £5,000 to the Jewish Life Centre that would be returned if the event does not go ahead.
Councillor Rennie, followed by Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to support the proposal. I would like to second it for what the town leader said. And also the center, I could remember I opened it when I was the mayor. And since then, I've attended several events that they've organized, and each one is always a very successful event. And I'm praying that this one, with the COVID pandemic and all that, they will have a very successful event also. So based on that, I'm seconding the proposal by the leader of the council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any Councillor Newmark?
Just unmute yourself, please. Unmute yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually wanted to propose that we grant the full amount that has been requested by the centre of £7,500, because I understand that the event costs have risen significantly due to the current situation, and that actually this now represents a much smaller portion of the total event. I think outdoor events, particularly those involving sort of car type setups, are particularly expensive. And obviously, this particular event has very specific security concerns that are not relevant to all communities in this area. I think we need to recognise that. We have an entertainments budget which has significantly underspent this year due to the unfortunate fact that other events have had to be cancelled. And goodness knows we all need a little bit of light in our lives as we approach the end of this year. I think it will be a fantastic thing for the town. I think it's ingenious to use the idea of people attending in cars, and obviously depending on which tier we're in, there'll be the possibility of people attending in person as well. I completely agree that the grant obviously needs to be contingent upon the event happening, but given the fact this isn't coming from our grant fund, it's coming from an entertainment budget, it's a one-off, it doesn't set any precedent for the future. I think it's really churlish to knock £2,500 off the cost. It's an ingenious idea. I think that a tremendous amount of work has gone into this, and I would strongly urge that we make the full grant as requested so that our town can have a celebration as we reach the period of the end of the year.
Thank you, Councillor Newmark. Councillor Parnell.
Yes, I really wanted also the full amount to be awarded, but then we haven't got that much of that in the budget now, Jeremy. I don't think we've got. No, we haven't in the entertainment, because we've spent. If you look it up, we've spent quite a lot on tablets and stuff like that. So that's why I agreed with our. Yes, we have. Don't look like bemused, because we have spent a lot. You're can't hear you, Jeremy. Anyway, I would have loved it to have been £7,500, but as it was explained to me that we haven't got enough in the budget, and so I agreed to 5,000.
Yeah, I don't think that's right, because on the basis of the last figures that I saw, we did have enough in the entertainment's budget. The tablets, I understood, and we signed off, were paid for out of the unused school swimming budget. They weren't from the entertainment's budget at all. So we have obviously the £10,000 that wasn't used for the fireworks. We have the money that's not being used for the Christmas switch on. I know we've published a couple of videos jointly with the Rotary Club that has come out the entertainment's budget, but unless there is expenditure that's not being reported to us, that certainly ought to be at least £7,500 in the entertainment's budget. I'm wondering if maybe the officers could clarify that.
Councillor Strack.
There is some confusion here. We worked on the original 15,000 because the additions to this, which moved up to something like 24,000, almost 24,000, was the addition of food items and payment for organisers. And we looked at the original costings, which were about £12,000 for the screens, 2,000, I'm saying off the top of my head now because I don't have the figures in front of me, but the security, £2,000. So we looked at those of costs that we felt that the council should be contributing to. The other costs were, and it looked that we would be putting about a third of the amount through. They have already received donations of about £4,000, and we agreed as a group that we thought that £5,000 was a reasonable amount. And I am still standing by that. I have proposed that as a recommendation, and I ask that that goes to the vote.
Well, I made a counter proposal,
Councillor Newmark,
Chair,
please,
and obviously
Councillor Newmark.
the decision taken internally by the Conservative group isn't binding on the council. I've made a counter proposal, and I would point out that I did have my hand up before Councillor Ennie actually seconded Councillor Strack's proposal.
Councillor Newmark, just to remind you, please, via the chair, I will give everybody the opportunity to speak, but just for the sake of order, if we could speak via the chair, I'd be most grateful. Councillor Vince, followed by Councillor Butler.
Thank you so much. This was discussed at the Entertainments Committee, and at that time, I did understand it was going to come back to the Entertainments Committee and we was going to have an emergency Zoom. I quickly did a recap today and watched that meeting. I understand it's probably not gone that way because there's not been the time frame to get that in before this meeting.
Thank you.
But I did watch it, and you know, I was enthused about this Hanukkah lighting because we wasn't having a Christmas tree event, we wasn't having any events, we wasn't having fireworks. And as it was said at that meeting, this was a chance to bring people together and everybody was welcome. Now, the thing is, most people don't know about this event and the tickets have already gone. Now, that's a problem. Now, I know that we've all received emails and there was a 24-hour window for all councillors and all Hertsmere councillors, all 39 of them, to apply for VIP tickets. I would have liked to have gone. I'm not applying for a ticket because I think there are families with little children that would be better to have my place. So that's why I'm not going to apply. I think I'm with the Conservative group on this. I think we've got to contribute. It's right to have an event, but this isn't an event for the whole town. An event of £24,000 is an awful lot of money in a time when the town is in absolute crisis, as is in the rest of the country. So I will be supporting Pat Strack, what she's put forward. I think it's fair. I think it's a fair amount. You know, we don't have endless pockets and we have to be supporting everybody. And, you know, I agree with Councillor Pat Strack. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vince. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, can I ask if Hugh does have those figures to hand, please, or Dan, I know Dan's on the line as well, please, regarding the entertainment's budget, actually money that's left over currently for the end of this financial year. Can I have that detail, please, before we continue the debate?
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Are these details to hand?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. First of all, yes, of course, there's no hidden expenditure from the entertainment's budgets throughout the year, and all of the environments that have been proposed. It has been an exceptionally unusual year that, you know, can't be repeated enough. Listed in the very next item, item 6, which are, you know, recommendations. And it's probably right for full council to agree those and to indeed agree this grant, as it would had it been a community grant for that sum. The General Management Committee has the power to agree grants up to a certain amount, but really above that, which this certainly is, then it's right and proper that that decision is taken by full council. And certainly the way in which the application was couched to the council by Rabbi Chaim was in the form of a community grant application. It was written on a community grant application form. And so therefore, for that reason, it's right and proper that it goes to the full council to consider. But you're right as well, Councillor Vince, we are restricted by our timings. The event is coming up very quickly and there are no other meetings before it takes place. There are no other scheduled meetings for it to go to other than full council. So that hopefully clarifies the procedural aspect. In terms of the entertainment's budget, Councillor Newmark is correct in stating that the IT support for schools was funded from the school swimming, not all of it, but 20 or yeah, about half. Was it 20,000? I think it was £20,000 we earmarked for that purpose. In terms of where one would find money for this particular event, I've left it deliberately open for members to decide, but I thought that a sensible location to fund it from would be the artistes' fees from the civic festival that didn't happen last June or July, of which there is currently the full £14,000 available from which to choose, up to the amounts that members agree. So there is money in the entertainment's budget, most certainly, to fund this and numerous other events, and I'm happy to go through it line by line with you if you need to, but that seemed to me the most sensible place if you're looking for a comparable budget to fund the event from. The Christmas lights, although there's no Christmas switch on events, Christmas lights are still going on, so we can't use Christmas lights money to fund the events. There simply wouldn't be enough in the budget to do that. So I'm in your hands, members. You must decide how and if you want to do this. At the moment on the table, and it's difficult sometimes to see who wants to speak and so on. And also I will tell you that Rabbi Chaim is certainly here watching this. He's an attendee if he's needed. And the proposal at the moment is from Councillor Strack to do 5,000 with the return of the money in the events that the event does not take place. Councillor Eni has seconded that proposal. Councillor Newmark has come in with a counter proposal for all of the money, the £7,500, with the same proviso that the money is returned if the event does not take place. And at the moment, there's no seconder for his motion. That's where we're at in terms of procedure at this meeting. Is that helpful?
Thank you very much. I'm going to go to Councillor Butler, followed by Councillor Collins, then a couple of other people with their hands up. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's obviously got people talking and debating, which is always healthy for local democracy, to see and show the members of the public out there that we take this seriously when we're spending the public purse, so to speak. I'm hearing exactly what Councillor Vince is saying, and I'm hearing exactly what Councillor Strack's saying. I'm also hearing exactly what Councillor Newmark's saying. I think it's a tough one. It's a tough year. It's trying to find a way that this money is not just given over and then spent on anything. I'm nervous in just saying have a blank check up to this amount and spend it how you want. I would be very much happy to support and second Councillor Newmark if we can watertight how this money is allocated, and if the money is not all spent because they have monies coming in from other areas, that money then given back to the authority so we can spend it on other areas. We've got to take into consideration here as well that we're talking about doing a party for NHS and key workers. And when we talk about key workers, there are a lot of them, from nurses right to the teachers to the people who are stacking the shelves in our local shops. So if we're talking about doing a party in the future, we need to make sure that we have money to be able to celebrate the outcome of this as well. So I'm throwing that into the mix. I would like to second Councillor Newmark's proposal of 7,500, but I want that to be watertight and how that money is allocated and spent. And if there's money left over, that money is handed back to the authority and not just, we've got that, we can spend it how we like. I'd like to continue to listen to the debate, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. We're going to go to Councillor Collins, followed by Councillor Strack, and then Councillor Newmark. Councillor Collins.
Yes, thanks, Lord Mayor. Yeah, I would suggest that that we go about and fund this of the Jewish the program, because it's of such that we are bringing people together. People have been locked up for quite a long time, and again, in as much as it is involving people coming together in a good way. And moreover, the clerk, Mr. Jones, has clarified that there's money available in this light, I believe that we should carry on with this, and then because the Jewish community is our community as well as other communities, we need to bring people together, and it will be a money well used in the interest of the wider community. So I support Councillor Newmark's venture.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. Councillor Strack.
Thanks also.
Sorry, I was only coming back to say that we made that decision because, yes, there may be other things that we're asked to fund in the future. And we, as a group, we did discuss it, and we thought that this was a fair and reasonable amount to put forward. And we did discuss that we would like to bring that through the entertainment budget next year so that we can continue to fund events like this. Maybe the town council hasn't been spending money across the diverse numbers of our community as they maybe should have done. We're looking at ways of making sure that we do support other areas of the of our community. Yes, I do hope it will be a great event, but I still would think that £5,000 is enough to give at this stage. I think we're only putting as a contingency for a £10,000 for the NHS Thank You event and £2,000 for a memorial service. So it's quite in line with what we're proposing to spend in the future on different parts of our community. So I would still stand with £5,000. I would like to have my proposal put forward and taken to the vote, please, if that's the way that it happens.
Thank you, Councillor Strack. I'm just going to go to Councillor Newmark, then Councillor Vince, and then we're going to go to vote. Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Chair. Now that the officers have clarified that there is indeed sufficient budget, my understanding is that Councillor Strack's proposal was based on a discussion at the Conservative group in which her members were informed that there wasn't sufficient budget. Well, that is how it was explained by Councillor Parnell. So, you know, I feel that decision was taken on an incorrect basis, and then set against that the other events that have been mentioned, the COVID Heroes Party, which actually I think I originally suggested, the memorial and so on, will be in the next financial year. The reality is that there are going to be very few opportunities for other large-scale events this financial year. We've got a fantastic community activist in Rabbi Hoch who's taken the initiative to do something for the whole town. I don't think that the noises I'm hearing, Councillor Strack, from yourself are properly recognising the current costs of delivering any large-scale outdoor events in light of the need to meet COVID requirements, and that has obviously escalated the cost. These are exceptional times. It's an exceptional situation. This is a one-off. I certainly wouldn't expect to be repeating a grant at this level in future years, but I think we need to support the fact that someone's come forward with an initiative, not try and shave a few £1,000s off here or there in order to meet unspecified costs that will anyway be coming in a future financial year. The entertainment's budget for this financial year is there to be spent on entertainments in this financial year, not to be sort of saved or carried forward or anything like that. It's time this town had a celebration, and it's time that this town council actually took a real world approach to the cost of these events and ensured that event can happen in a safe and secure way by giving them a grant that is now actually a much smaller proportion of the overall costs. I think that we don't seek to support events for faith communities often enough. I'm not sure why we've not supported this in the past. I'm not sure why we don't have a regular Diwali event supported by the town council. I'm not sure why we don't do events around Eid, given the sort of growing Hindu and Muslim populations in this town. And I think this can be the start of a series of events supported by the town council that reflect our plurality, that reflect our diversity, that give a platform to the different minority communities. We have the funds to give the amount that has been requested, and in my view, it's the right thing to do.
Thank you. I'm just going to go to Councillor Vince, followed by Councillor Parnell, and then we're going to go to vote. Councillor Vince.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm part of the Entertainments Committee. The Entertainments Committee runs throughout the year. We've still got nearly a third of the year left to run, and we hope we're going to have better times. I think the proposal put forward by Councillor Strack is a very fair proposal. I'm following the agenda on an electronic device there, and while I'm watching that, I'm also getting messages come in. And one of the messages that's just flashed up is they've only just heard about this and they suspect 95% of the Jewish population in Hertsmere won't be able to go to it because it's so limited in numbers. Now, this isn't a massive event for everybody. This is 200 cars and however many councillors. Now, if I can encourage any of our councillors that are going to go to pay some of the costs that are listed per person, then maybe so much money might not be needed from outside. Because remember, we're looking at about, 40 odd spaces for councillors. Now, £3,500 has already been agreed by Hertsmere Borough Council. I don't know what's coming from the county councillors. As we heard, they've got £4,000 already for donations. This equates to about £120 a car. Now, I would have loved this to be an inclusive event. I would have loved this to go out so everybody can take part. But it might be a big event for us at the moment, but it's limited. So the amount of money we can spend on it surely has to be limited. And we have to look to be putting other things on before the end of the year. And hopefully things will change for us and we will be able to. The Entertainments Committee is an inclusive committee. They make sure they cover whatever they can from every religion. So, I fully support Councillor Strack's proposal.
Thank you, Councillor Vince. Councillor Parnell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just do need to say one thing. I wanted this amount to be 7,500. I spoke to Councillor Strack and I spoke to Councillor Simon Rubner, and that's what I felt was a fair thing. Actually, when Pat explained it and she spoke to all the group, it was agreed that because we have other things coming through to the end of the year, £5,000 is the right amount. I still have doubts, but unfortunately, I feel I've got to go with the group. And I heard from Councillor Strack that your group, Richard, your Labour group, also had a discussion and agreed that it was a right amount. Can I just finish? So with all of that knowledge, I thought that it was the right thing to do to go along with my group. Actually, originally my thoughts were £7,500, and that's really what I wanted. But you have to. There are things that you have to. When it was explained, there are other things coming through, and there should be some money left for that, I think.
Councillor Parnell, thank you very much. Councillor Butler, I really would like to go to vote. So can we keep it brief and then we go to vote?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's interesting how things are taken out of context when two group leaders have a discussion and then that's thrown into the mix when we're having a debate. I said, yes, £5,000 would be a agreeable amount. Personally, however, I'd still think we should go for the 7,500. However, if we're going to give something, yes, £5,000 is an agreeable amount. But it's interesting how you can twist things. Maybe we might like to start writing newspaper articles Who knows? But anyway, I'd like to say, Mr. Mayor,
I wasn't
I think we
twisting
should have
anything,
one. Hang on, Madam Deputy Mayor, I did allow you to speak. So, and Mr. Mayor's given me the chance, and we're running out of time here because we've all got to go home, which I'm sitting in at the moment. What I'd like to do is actually say we should be voting on Councillor Newmark's proposal first, surely, because it's the greater amount, and then go into the lower amount. I'd like to seek advice from our town clerk, please, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I was just about to clarify the procedure here. However, before, and I know you want to move to a vote, but I just want to give you the option because you may not have seen him. Councillor Victor Eni has his hand up electronically. I don't know whether he wants to speak. He hasn't yet spoken on this topic, so I don't know whether you wanted to hear Councillor Eni. Councillor Eni?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just what we've been debating about. At least I think every community that's approached the council to support them, the council tend to support them as much as they can. And the Chair Center too, when it was being developed, I can remember we've given them some grant to support them. On this occasion, 5,000 is quite reasonable. We have still time to go to the end of the financial year, and things may come up. We don't know how the pandemic is going to happen. We don't know the group we are going to support further. So instead of wasting time going through this, can we please give them the 5,000 pounds they are requesting? The borough, a bigger authority with more cash, gave them 3,500 according to Councillor Vince, and I'm sure they will receive more money from other areas. So can we go for the 5,000, please? Thank you.
So I think if I understand it rightly, Hugh, first of all, we'll go to vote for the original grant application.
I believe the other way around, Mr. Mayor, because in effect, Councillor Newmark's proposal is an amendment to the original motion. So that would be, and it actually makes sense from a logical basis. So we'll do two votes. The first one for 7.5. And the second for 5,000. And if Councillor Newmark isn't happy with Councillor Richard Butler's caveats, then he will be happy with Councillor Collins, who also seconded the motion without the caveats. So either way, it'll work like that. So I'll do two votes through you, Mr. Mayor. I'll go through the list as you've requested. I think we can probably tell what the outcome is going to be, but nevertheless, for due process, we'll go through the list and we'll start with
could we just read the motion out first and then we go to vote?
100%, Mr. Mayor. The first motion is to award the full amount requested of £7,500 to the Jewish Life Centre on the basis that if the event does not take place, then the money is refunded to the town council. So that's Councillor Newmark's motion. So it's for the 7.5.
No, point of order. That wasn't Councillor Newmark, it was Councillor Butler that mentioned that. Councillor Newmark wanted the 7,500. He didn't mention any caveat attached to it.
He did, Councillor Eni. He said that if the money, he said like with the motion for the 5,000, if the event doesn't take place, then the money is refunded to the town council. Councillor Butler's caveat was that if any of the money up to the amount was not spent, and that could be verified, then that proportion of money would be refunded. But Councillor Newmark was clear that if the event doesn't take place at all because of the COVID situation or government guidelines, then the full amount was refunded to the town council.
Yeah, Chair, just for clarity and to make it easier, to be clear, I've accepted Councillor Butler's caveats into my amendments to the main motion.
Thank you, Councillor Newmark. So let's go to the vote then. Hugh, can we start the vote, please?
Can we readmit Councillor Lawrence, please? He's asking to be readmitted to the meeting.
Done that now.
Thank you.
So this is the motion for the 7.5, and then I'm going to go through the list again for the 5,000, just for clarity. So for the 7,500 full, Councillor Clive Butchins, are you for, against, or abstain? Clive Butchins?
You are muted.
I can't hear you, Councillor Clive Butchins. You need to unmute yourself, please, Councillor Butchins. No, you.
I was trying to unmute myself, holding the space bar, and it didn't work. Sorry about that. I'm against the amending proposal.
Councillor Richard Butler is for. Yeah. Councillor Rebecca Chalice. For the motion, I just caught that. Councillor Alfred Collins, I'm guessing is
4.
for. Councillor Victor Eni.
Against.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza. For the motion, I heard Councillor Sam Lawrence.
Against.
Against. Councillor Jeremy Newmark will be for.
4.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
I'm against.
Councillor Simon Rubner, Mr. Mayor.
I'm against the motion.
Councillor Pat Strack.
Against.
Councillor Farida Turner.
Against.
And Councillor Michelle Vince.
I will qualify this because I'm going to be against, but I think it's a really sad proposal that we had put to us, that we have to vote on this, because if we had the money, if we could give the money, if we had deeper pockets, we'd all have agreed to it. We don't. So I'm against, but I'm sadly against.
Against. So that motion has fallen, and we'll go to the second motion now, which is the original motion for £5,000 to be awarded to the Jewish Life Centre for this Hanukkah event. Councillor Clive Hutchins.
4.
Councillor Richard Butler.
Well, we've got to give them something now, so for this one, because we need to give them some money.
Councillor Rebecca Chalice.
4.
Councillor Alfred Collins.
Yeah, 4. I mean, in as much as we have to give them money.
Councillor Victor Eni.
4.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza.
4.
Councillor Sam Lawrence.
4.
Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
4.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra Parnell.
4.
4. Councillor Simon Rubner.
4.
Councillor Pat Strack.
4.
Councillor Farida Turner.
4.
And Councillor Michelle Vince.
4.
So that's unanimous votes for the £5,000 to be awarded. And I shall take it, unless you describe otherwise, that is funded from the artistes' fees of the entertainment's budget, as I previously highlighted, Mr. Mayor. That brings us to the end of item 5, Roman numeral 1, and we now move on to item 5, Roman numeral 2, All Saints Church.
So item number 2, Roman numeral 2, All Saints Church, £500 for studio lights for better illuminating webcasts. Do we have any comments regarding this grant?
Councillor Richard Butler has his hand up, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to say that I fully support this application. You know, £500 is a very reasonable grant, and I welcome it to continue the work that they're doing. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Parnell.
I would like to propose that we vote this through because it's worthy cause. Do I have somebody to second you?
Seconded.
Happy to second you, Madam
Okay,
Deputy Mayor.
so Councillor Chalice, Councillor Parnell Councillor Parnell and Councillor Chalice. Councillor Chalice will second the motion. Councillor Parnell is proposing the motion.
Do you want to move to a vote, Mr. Mayor? I think it's probably.
Is it unanimous or is anybody against? Councillor Parnell, let's vote. Councillor Cowser.
I just thought since we are constructing a new toilet and it's a time of COVID, we should make this soap dispensers and also the water faucets photosensitive.
Thank you. Shall we move to vote?
That clause will be much better as we go along.
Thank you, Councillor Cowser. Can we move to vote?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, yes.
Just to be clear, because I think Councillor Carson might have been referring to the next item.
Yeah.
The All Saints Church item, which is simply for the £500.
£500. Yeah, we're talking about All Saints, Councillor Carson, and we're not talking about St. Michael's.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry. It's for the
So
same.
let's move to vote. £500 for All Saints Church.
So, Mr. Mayor, there has been a proposer and a seconder. I think for clarity, I know it is very arduous and I'm happy to streamline things if members wish, but it has been requested several times at these meetings that we go through the list of voting. So if you want to continue doing it that way, then I'll do it that way.
Would members like us to go through the voting procedure for this? But we're going through the voting procedure. Please.
I can see some members nodding, so for due process, Mr. Mayor, it's
we'll go through
probably best to do that. Yes. So the proposal is to award All Saints £500 for additional lights so they can better fund their virtual events and meetings. Councillor Clive Butchins, you for, against, or abstain?
I'm very happy to support the motion, so I'm for it.
Councillor Richard Butler.
For.
Councillor Rebecca Chalice.
For.
Alfred Collins.
For.
Councillor Victor Eni.
For.
Councillor Prabhakar Karzar.
For.
Councillor Sam Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
For.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
For.
Councillor Simon Rubner.
For.
Councillor Pat Strack.
For.
Councillor Farida Turner.
For.
Councillor Michelle Vince.
For.
So that's unanimous and didn't take too long, Mr. Mayor. So you can go on to the next.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Which is 5 Roman numeral 3,
Yeah.
which is St. Michael rather, and All Angels Church.
So it's item number 3, St. Michael and All Angels Church. They're asking for £3,000 for a new toilet, £500 for a window repair, £1,500 for a window replacement, £400 for notice banners, £1,000 for hampers, £100 for trees, which comes to £6,500. Just so you know that in January 2020, the Town Council awarded St. Michael's and All Saints Church £5,046.56 from Top Slice Community Infrastructure Levy monies for building works. Councillor Strack.
I'd like to propose that we pay for the toilet. They're asking for a disabled toilet. What I also have to point out is that St. Michael's and All Angels have also applied to the diocese for an £8,000 grant. We have only got £2,900 left in our grant budget. So once we've awarded them the £3,000, we don't have any money left in the budget. The window repair and the window replacement could be, they could get that money from the diocese. They've applied for it in October. I don't know. I haven't heard that they've heard yay or nay yet from the diocese. We would not be able to, we wouldn't normally fund hampers for the simple reason is that if we were giving out hampers, it would be from the town council and not from the church. And the trees, I don't think that is something that we should be funding. So I'm proposing that we spend what's left in our budget, £3,000 for St. Michael's and All Angels to have a refurbished disabled toilet in their community hall. And I do appreciate that they do a lot of work for the community, but they are asking for grants elsewhere.
Thank you very much, Councillor Strack. We're going to go to Councillor Butler, followed by Newmark, followed by Councillor Parnell. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, obviously, we would have had £1,600 more in the grant if we hadn't been looking to advertise somewhere for a private business. But let me leave that one to GMC debate later on. Regarding the 6,500, I'd actually fully support this. However, I would question the fact, have they come in to this grant from the wrong angle? Because some of this work would have actually come under, I would have assumed, under the SIL expenditure still, such as the toilet scheme, such as the window repair. Can I just get some clarification, please, from the town clerk that the application is solely from the grants budget, that they've seeked this money, and they've not actually tried to seek this money from the SIL budget? Because I would have thought something like the hampers or the trees would have been much more preferable to come from the grant budget and the new toilet scheme coming from the SIL budget. If you can just respond to me on that one, just seeking officer's advice on that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Hugh, were you able to answer that question now? Or?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I mean, the short answer is yes, you are correct, Councillor Butler. The application that was made back in January 2020 was, consumed its own smoke in terms of the fact that all of the items that were requested were funded. There were no additional items that were sought. These are new items which have been sought not through any SIL application, of which we have no formal process as such, but like the Borough Council have used that money to award sort of grants in kind, but rather through the community grants process. As with the Jewish Life Centre. The application was made on a community grants application form, and yeah, it is as it is set out. So Councillor Strack is correct in terms of pointing out that how much budget is left. I tried to be helpful in the agenda to show you what the committee have, or council rather, have spent thus far. Sometimes it's the committee, and how much money is available left in the budget. So yes, that's you're right. It is a community grant.
Can I just come back on that, please, Mr. Mayor?
Will respond to that, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry to hold up everyone else who wants to speak. It's not my intention. I just think this highlights something that we need to address. And again, I think the full council, if I can have the backing of full council, to take this to GMC about how we look to spend SIL money. I know the borough, for instance, at the moment are doing a review on that, which is actually a review that I'm currently leading. So I'm very keen to make sure that we look at how we spend SIL within our community at a parish level, and make sure that all councillors are able to have the ability to comment and have their say on that expenditure as well. So I'd like to say that I think this highlights from this application that we should have a full frank debate about this at GMC with the approval of full council tonight, that we could take that back to GMC. Other than that, I'd like to actually propose that we fully support this application for tonight, looking to get some of the money from other pots to be able to support this application. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Butler. Councillor Newmark.
Yes, I second Councillor Butler's proposal that we pay this application in full, if need be, allocating SIL funds to the £3,000 element of the toilet and the £1,500 element of the windows, which are clearly a form of community infrastructure. This is a church that is located physically within and is incredibly active within one of the most deprived wards in the country. And I think that is a salient point when we consider this application. It is a church which is understood, it's my understanding, does a tremendous amount of work with people suffering as a consequence of living in an area impacted by the indices of multiple deprivation. I hear Councillor Strack's point about, well, if we did hampers, we'd do them as the town council. Well, Councillor Strack, this isn't a PR exercise. This is about recognising the fact that a faith leader, in this case, an Anglican vicar, is able, in a way that we could never do, to identify some of the most vulnerable and needy people because of her position in the community, because of the fact that they come to her. We would simply not be aware of who these people are, and we would be unable to ensure that these hampers reach those individuals. That's why this is a very special case. I think this council needs to start to understand the role that faith communities play in caring for and assisting some of the most vulnerable in our society. And, you know, just dismissing the request for £1,000 worth of hampers as something that we could do in the same way, we couldn't. That's the difference between being a local government, public institution, and the manner in which a faith community is able to access and operate in a much closer way to the grassroots. I think the need in this particular ward is clear, and the work that is undertaken by this church, I've seen with my own eyes, is fantastic. It shouldn't be necessary. It's a result of austerity. It's a result of the cuts that this community has been subjected to. It's a result of the wrong political choices being made for this area. But this is not a party political matter. It isn't something that should be carved up in political groups in advance of the meeting. If we look at this in comparison with some of the grants this council has made over the past 10 years, we should be embarrassed to be saying no to a request of this nature at the full amount. We've given grants to some quite outrageous causes over the past 10 years as an authority, some which really do only border on being able to be legitimately described as charitable or community activities. This is a genuine community organisation in genuine need of funds to support people in one of the most economically deprived wards in the country. It's Christmas coming up. Let's do the right thing. Let's not let Elstree and Boreham Wood Town Council look like a bunch of Scrooges. Let's give them what they need and let this church deliver their fantastic, valuable work.
Thank you. Councillor Parnell.
Well, I was going to second Councillor Strack's proposal, because I think that's a reasonable amount for what they're asking, and especially if there's other money coming from the diocese.
Thank you. Councillor Butchins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I don't believe that the new toilet and the window repair and window replacement items will necessarily be eligible for SIL money, with my understanding of the SIL process. So I think we need to be careful on that front. I do recognise that we don't have all of the money available in our grants process. So if we were to award more than well, it's actually 2,900, I think, or thereabouts.
£2,932 left.
Yeah, if we were to award more than that, significantly more anyway, we would have to identify another budget heading, presumably to fund it from, make a virement there. Yeah, I mean, overall, St Michael's and All Angels Church, I'm being very supportive of. But we also have to bear in mind the third factor is that the grant that they have applied for, if they get that, then we probably, in all prudence, we should be saying that then they need to return monies we have allocated them, which have not been used to fund the items that they've requested of us. So I think this is why I suspect our group as a whole almost are fairly cautious on this one. So I hope that helps and forwards the debate.
Thank you, Councillor Butchins. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want a point of clarification for Councillor Butchins. He's quite right to question whether or not that would come under SIL expenditure, but I can quite comfortably confirm that it would. At the borough, they have a committee that hand out SILIT money, which is now changed to SIF money. They like to change their names, obviously. That awarded money to plenty of organisations for new windows, new roofs and stuff like that. So I would feel very confident that this money would be able to be spent out of SIL. As I say, part of my comment tonight is to fully support this with that money for, such as Councillor Newmark has said, the £3,000 and £1,500 from the SIL money to cover that cost and the other costs covered by the grant. That would be my proposal. I believe it's been seconded by Councillor Newmark, and I would like that to go to the vote. I would like to see the whole lot awarded. And just to point out as well that I'd asked Mr. Mayor for this to be debated and discussed, how we look at the SIL money and how it is actually allocated at GMC. And as I say, I'd like that to be confirmed tonight. But when we look at what we're doing within the community, Councillor Newmark's quite right to point out it's in the most deprived area. He's quite right to point out that we don't know necessarily where some of these hampers would go to, some of the people they would actually go to. And, you know, to be fair, Councillor Butchins, you're right. I mean, we're quite within our rights to say if you're not spending the money in the way that we see that it should be spent, it should be handed back. I hear what Councillor Strack and Parnell have said, which they've gone to a grant for the diocese, but there's no guarantee that they're going to get that. The church is not rich. It does not have the money that they're surviving on up in the north of England, for instance, where they're surviving on old gold coins from the medieval days. Our church, our diocese, literally have money come in, money go out. They are surviving. And soon, if we're not careful, we don't support these organisations and these religious centres, we are going to lose them. So, permit to me, fully support this, fully get behind it, and I urge other members to do the same, please. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. Councillor Strack.
Well, I'd just like really to go back again. This was submitted to us as a community grant on the 8th of November. So it's not sat with us for very long. And no suggestion has been made that anything would come from SIL. So I think that we need to take that to GMC. I understand only to see if we can look at other ways of funding some of these things. But I mean, perhaps Councillor Collins can tell us whether.
No, you can't ask him because he's excluded from this part of the meeting.
Okay, sorry. So we don't know whether the £8,000 grant has been awarded yet. I feel very uncomfortable about this because what we were asked for was a community grant, not SIL funding. I would be happy for it to be looked at again by GMC, and I would propose that it does go to GMC for us to look again at what they're asking for.
Any comments on that?
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, so Councillor Butler.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I hear what Councillor Strack's saying. If I was to take it back to GMC, the only thing then I would be arguing then to continue for tonight to actually award would be the hampers, because obviously these hampers are for the Christmas period. So I'd actually say we award the £1,000 tonight for the hampers, and we take the toilet, the window, the repair back to GMC for that discussion to see if that money could be allocated through the SIL expenditure. That would be my caveat. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the clerk, followed by Councillor Parnell, followed by Councillor Strack.
Just thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't want to be awkward, but I think in fairness, I'm trying to look at this in a logical way, in it taking into account our standing orders. In fairness to Councillor Jeremy Newmark, who I pointed out couldn't put two motions forward at a previous meeting. So, Councillor Strack, you shouldn't really be proposing two separate motions on this particular item. Another member can. This seems a very similar sort of scenario to the Jewish Life Centre issue that we've looked at just a few moments ago, and what might be a helpful way of addressing it is to consider first, in effect, the amendments to the original motion to look at proposing the full amount with the 2,932 left in the budget of the community grants budget going towards it, with the remainder from SIL monies making the total up to £6,500. If that motion falls, then to look either at Councillor Strack's original motion, or if she's now withdrawing that, for a subsequent motion, which Councillor Parnell may wish to propose because she seconded it, to refer the whole matter to the General Management Committee. I would like to make one other point of clarification, if I may, and that is that in the terms of reference of the Council, it's actually the Environment and Planning Committee that considers initial SIL expenditure, but doesn't decide it. All SIL expenditure is and has always been approved by full council, so all members have always had an opportunity to debate and discuss SIL expenditure. The way in which this town council can spend top slice SIL money is not the same as Hertsmere Borough Council's rules, that actually the town council has a much broader ability to spend SIL money, including on revenue projects where the borough council is restricted to capital projects and so on. Whilst the General Management Committee certainly does look at financial expenditure and matters to do with finance, currently the terms of reference of the committees indicate that it's the ENP committee, the Environment and Planning Committee, that first considers SIL applications. That's not to say that if the council does agree tonight to Councillor Newmark, or was it Councillor Butler's proposal that it could spend that SIL money. It doesn't look like it's going that way, but that's certainly an option for council to agree. But I also take Councillor Richard Butler's point that it is becoming complicated when, in effect, with the SIL money we seem to have two parallel grants procedures going on here, which is not a tidy way of organising our affairs, and it probably does need to be looked at in the round at an appropriate time. In terms of eligibility, I would suggest that whilst Hertsmere Borough Council has produced guidance on matters which are eligible for SIL expenditure, this would probably be included in an eligible criteria for SIL, especially given the fact that back in January we awarded £5,000 worth of money from SIL for building matters relating to the fabric of the building anyway. So that it probably would be included as part of the infrastructure heading. So I just wish to make that point. And Mr. Mayor, I'll hand back to you. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to prevent us from erring into a very complicated procedural matter here, which I think is...
Mr. Mayor, sorry, can I just say that one thing's been lost here, and which is my concern about the £1,000 for the hampers. I don't want that to be forgotten, because obviously it is that those hampers are actually set for the Christmas period. So I just want members, I know Councillor Strack and Parnell are about to speak, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, I do apologise, but it's just that one bit we do need to look at if we're going to take the rest back to GMC.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Councillor Parnell, followed by Councillor Strack. I
would just like to say I feel that we should actually vote on this £3,000 that we said, or whatever. I think it's £3,000.
2932.
Yes, to do the disabled toilet now, and then take whatever else there it is with for the church, what they're asking at a later date. I just think we need to get this. We need to vote on this. In fact.
Thank you, Councillor Parnell. Councillor Strack.
Well, just to say that, you know, the reason why I said about the hampers is that we do have, we have the food bank, we have Gratitude, we have other organisations. I think Councillor Minal Sakdev provides care packages. Sandra and I oversaw about 200 care packages going out to the frail and elderly in the community. So I am surprised that, well, I'm not surprised. Why would I say that? There are still the hard to reach people. I do understand that. And that's why I said that I thought that probably the money for the hampers could come from another fund. I was working on the fact that we only had £2,900 and a bit in our budget, and I don't know. I mean, maybe Councillor Parnell.
Councillor Parnell.
I'm not chairing.
No, you're not chairing the meeting, Pat. But anyway, Communities First. I've got in touch with Communities First today because somebody spoke about how we gave the hampers out and she didn't get one. She wasn't, and the flowers we've been giving out and the phone calls. She wasn't one of our members, so we didn't know her name. But I've been given that to her, and I got onto Communities First to do something for her. They are also a group that does things for people that fall through the cracks, if you like to say it like that. And I think that's another organisation that I would like to vote on this £3,000 odd for the toilet, and then take the rest of it to maybe GMC or wherever it's the right place.
Thank you, Councillor. Before we go to Councillor Butchins, I suggest that you're proposing a motion. We'll need a seconder. So if we could all organise a seconder, then we'll go to Councillor Butchins, followed by Councillor Vince, and then we'll go to those.
Can we have some clarity, Mr. Mayor, whether Councillor Strack is withdrawing her original motion then?
So Councillor Parnell will need
to be compatible.
I will withdraw it. If please guide me. I've been guided that I should withdraw it, and I will.
It's for you to decide, but the two...
No, I'm happy to do that.
Councillor
Point of order. Sorry, point of order. We need to know before we vote which monies are coming from where and exactly what monies we're voting on. If I could just fly kite slightly, if you like. Strikes me that if we can use SIL money for the toilet, the window repair and the window replacement, but we can't decide that tonight because it needs to go through E&P.
You can.
We can? Is that
Well, you could, yes, you could, it's your full council. I suppose you could decide it, but it would be better to look at it through E&P first, certainly.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to look at a sensible way forward on this. We could award the toilet money from SIL tonight then, if we wanted to. We could consider the windows in E&P to see if we wanted to do that as well. We could, if we did that, then we would have the money available to fund the banners and hampers or trees. I don't know if you want to do the banners. We haven't really discussed that tonight. I'm just offering an alternative we might want to look at. Obviously, the discussion's not going to finish immediately if we do that. But
could I just say we received...
Councillor Vince, there are people in front of you. I'll give you a chance because Councillor Ennie would like to speak now, and then your turn is afterwards. Councillor Ennie.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the proposals has been made. If we want somebody to remake that of Councillor Strack, we should do that, and somebody to second it so we can move forward. The issue of 6,500 is a large amount of money, and it's not. If it's through SIL, okay, but at this time point, I would suggest we go for the 3,000. In terms of hamper, I know that Cowley Hill is a deprived area. There are other people deprived that may need or in more in need than these people here that we don't know. So what I'm saying is, it's not fair that the church or we give camper to their members and we, the council, cannot give to others. They are missing out. So my suggestion today will be, let's vote about the 6,500 and the 3,000 proposed by Councillor Strack earlier on, or someone else to propose it so that we can move forward. It's just two things on the table. Then anything can go back to GMC in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ennie. Councillor Vince.
Many apologies. I was looking at an email that we'd received today, and I didn't know how many councillors had received or had seen the email today from Reverend Louise. Good morning to you all. Good to be in touch with you. Happy to give you some further information. Read the proposed mini hampers. In brief, Christmas cheer mini hampers for low income households who have endured such a tough year. 50 times £20 hampers, which equal £1,000. Message with hampers. This gift comes with a message of Christmas cheer in recognition of a difficult year, with love from St Michael's and All Angels Church, and thanks to a generous grant from the Elstree and Borehamwood Town Council. Enjoy your Christmas cuppa. And they are Marks and Spencer's Christmas afternoon treats gift sets. They're £20 each, and they've got a nice selection of things in them. There are lots of people in the Cowley Hill ward. You are right, Councillor Ennie, that would appreciate, and I think the church reaches out beyond the Cowley Hill ward. So the Reverend there would know who those gifts should go to. So I would appreciate it. We've got the extra information from Reverend Louise. If the £1,000 could please be included. Thank you.
I'm sure they can approach other charities to supply them with that, or shops, right to them.
Thank you, Councillor Ennie. Would anybody like to comment on this, or would anybody like to propose a motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I've already proposed that we give the 6,500 the full amount, and I believe it was seconded by Councillor Newmark originally. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is Councillor Newmark here? Is Councillor Newmark available? Councillor Newmark, are you seconding the motion?
You said yes.
Okay. Councillor Parnell, are you proposing an alternative motion, and if so, do you have a seconder?
I was proposing the motion give the like I said at the very beginning, the £3,000 for the toilet and come back, and they can come back at another time for the rest of the money.
Councillor Ennie, were you seconding that motion?
Yes, seconded.
And I presume when you say £3,000, you mean the 2,932 or whatever's left in the so
Whatever.
that's,
Yeah.
take that as read.
I propose, colleagues, I now propose that we go to vote on this.
Right, so the yeah, so we'll go to the first motion.
Councillor, sorry, would you be able to admit Councillor Turner? She's had technical issues.
She's there.
Pat
Councillor Turner's there.
Councillor Strack. Councillor Strack, I've just put it back in.
Thank you.
Everybody here?
You can lose a few.
Okay, suppose we go to vote.
Win the vote then.
Everybody's here now. So the first motion is for the full amount of £6,500 to be awarded to St Michael's and All Saints Church, with £2,932 of it coming from the community grants budget and the remainder to be funded from top sliced SIL. So Councillor Clive Butchins, you for, against, or abstain from the motion?
If the remainder is coming from SIL, then I would be happy to support the motion.
Right. Okay.
No, I don't understand what he meant. Sorry.
Either.
Well,
I thought it's yes or no or abstain.
Yes or no, Clive?
Or abstain.
This is the motion. To clarify, this is the motion that's been proposed. It was either Councillor Newmark or Councillor Butler or the other way around, for the full amount, the £6,500 to be awarded, £2,932 of it from the community grants budget. That's the remainder in the budget for this year, and the rest to come from top slice SIL to be agreed tonight. The full £6,500 to be agreed tonight. The next motion you're going to be looking at is the one proposed by Councillor Parnell for £3,000, or actually £2,932 to be awarded, and then for the Environment and Planning Committee and/or General Management Committee to look again at the rest of the amount.
Correct you. Thank you.
And so, which budget heading will the, if we went with the 3,000 only, which budget heading will that be coming from?
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. We're in the middle of a vote.
This is ridiculous.
Totally improper for dialogue of this nature to be continuing. There
Yes
is
or
a
no?
motion on the table. Councillor Butchins voted for the motion, added a comment that was totally in line with the terms of the motion. The vote must continue. You
Exactly,
cannot
I'd agree with that.
interrupt a vote in this way. It's quite improper.
Not if he didn't know what he was voting for, Jeremy.
I think we assume that councillors do know what they're voting for.
Well,
I asked my question because it wasn't clear. He added things that were not discussed.
Well,
Sorry,
I'll take,
this is improper.
actually, I was
Can
going
we
to,
have order, please? Can we have order?
well, we're getting into a bit of a muddle here, members. Let's let's be clear as to what we're doing. I've tried I really, with the best will in the world, Mr. Mayor, tried to at great pains explain what the procedures are and what we're voting for and who's done what and where the money's coming from. The first motion was for the full amount, £6,500, to be awarded this evening, with the balance of the community grants budget, £2,932 being awarded, and the remainder making it up to £6,500 from SIL. Councillor Butchins, you've indicated that you'd be for that motion.
God.
Councillor Richard Butler.
For the motion.
Councillor Rebecca Chalice.
For the motion.
Councillor Alpha Collins will not be participating. I didn't want to exclude him because he may not come back, but he has kindly turned his video off. He could watch it on YouTube anyway, so in effect he's not here. Councillor Victor Ennie.
Against.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza.
For the motion.
Councillor Sam Lawrence.
For the motion.
For the motion. Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
For the motion.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
Against.
Councillor Simon Rubner.
Against the motion.
Councillor Pat Strack.
Against the motion.
Councillor Farida Turner.
Against the motion.
Councillor Michelle Vince.
For the motion.
Right, so I'm just going to top those up, members. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I believe that motion is carried.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Say that again, please.
Carried.
Well, councillors
Carried.
Hutchins voted for, Richard Butler for, Rebecca Chalice for, Alpha Collins is not eligible to vote. Councillor Victor Eni against. Councillor Prabhakar Kaza was for. Councillor Sam Lawrence was for. Councillor Jeremy Newmark was for. Councillor Sandra Parnell was against. Simon Rubnan against. Pat Strack against. Farida Turner against. Michelle Vince against. Let me just count those applicants.
Councillor Vince
2,
for.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So some 7 in favour.
I was for. I wasn't against.
No, I said
No,
4.
we know.
You were for. 7, 4, and 5 against is carried.
It's carried.
Motion is carried,
Thank you.
and that's we don't then go on to the next motion because that's carried.
Okay. So we move on to item number 6 on the agenda. Entertainments Committee in-year budget variants. And members are asked to consider the following budget variants proposed by the Entertainments Committee at 1, 2, and 3, and by the Entertainments Committee Chairman in consultation with the Entertainments Officer at 4. So if you move to item number 6 on the agenda, you'll be able to. Is anybody, Councillor Strack?
I would like to propose that we do utilise 3,500 of the artist fees, because I feel we've entered into an agreement with asking for someone to design a flag, etc., and we do need somewhere to fly it. So on that account, I would suggest that we do via money from the budget to pay for the flagpole.
Mr. Mayor?
Any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Can I just ask, we're taking these individually, yeah? Item 1, Roman number
Yes.
1 to, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Fine. So just on the flagpole, because obviously I won't discuss the rest just yet. On the flagpole, I'm actually against this. We actually have a flagpole next to the side of Fairway Hall already. I think it would be an improper use of money at the moment to buy a flagpole when we were just about to, some councillors were just saying, well, no to £1,000 for Christmas hampers would actually serve 50 people of the community. And then you're saying, oh, but it's okay to spend £3,500 on a flagpole to wave a flag. I think that's sending out the wrong message. I'm sorry, but I'm fully against this. And I think this would be something we should look at in the future, not now. Not at this time. We have flagpoles around the community where we could ask for our flag to be flown. I'm sorry, I'm very much feeling uncomfortable with this.
Any other comments on this? Sorry, Councillor Turner.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, because I've had trouble. We discussed this quite extensively at the entertainments meeting. We had a competition. Of course, very, very difficult times, but we're fighting it. We're going to win, and we need to show how proud we are of our town. And I think it's only appropriate we'll have a new flag. We do need a new flagpole, and I'd like to second this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Any other comments? Councillor Parnell, followed by Councillor Newmark.
Yeah, I would. Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Mayor. What was the point of having a competition for people to enter to design a flag when we can't show it? I don't understand this negative vibe about this flagpole. We had a competition, somebody won, and we need to put it up. We're proud to have a flag of the town. Well, I am anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Newmark.
Yeah, I don't think this is the moment to be spending £3,500 on a flagpole, given the comments that have been made about causes today which are genuinely and tangibly improving the community, given the fact that I don't actually think putting a flag up is entertainment per se. I can see the rationale behind the flag. I'm pleased we've got a flag. I'd like to see the flag displayed, but I think we can find creative and innovative ways to display a flag, particularly when we already have a flagpole. There are other flagpoles in the vicinity of the town council building, at the borough council, and at Elstree Studios. And I think it sounds like too much of a vanity project to spend £3,500 of public money on a flagpole when the flag can be displayed in an alternative way. I'm not against the sentiments, not against the idea of a flag. I just don't think this is the right time to be spending that sum on this project.
Thank you very much, Councillor Newmark. Any other Councillor Collins, followed by Councillor Kaza, and then Councillor Vince.
Yes, thanks, Lord Mayor. I think that it is not the proper time for us to go about spending £3,500 on a flagpole, given the fact that people are having problems just to fill their bellies up. In our area is a very deprived area, and £3,500 can go a very long way. We were struggling just a while ago just to appropriate £1,000 just with regards to hampers, and we found it very, very difficult. Others opposed it. They said that it was inappropriate to feed people. But we are talking about something that is leisurely flying. I mean, a flagpole that contributes to nothing. We have a lot of flagpoles in this area here. We have at the town council. We have even at All Saints. We can even ask the All Saints to go about and hoist our flag on a flagpole. I don't think it is appropriate for us to go about and spend £3,500 on a flagpole. We should look at areas that are very needed, that will enhance the growth of people with regards to spending £3,500. But I don't agree with it. I support the proposal that Councillor Newmark and others have made. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Collins. Councillor Kaza.
Yeah, thanks. I've said the same thing earlier and echo Councillor Newmark. This is a pure vanity project because we have not achieved anything. It's not something like we have won a war, we've got something, Boreham Wood is the best town in UK or anything of that sort. It does not represent anything. It does not signify anything. It's not a sense, there's no sense of achievement behind it. And you are not conveying anything to the people. Just spending £3,500 on a pole. And we did have, of course, a series of talks on this, and we called people, conducted a competition, gave somebody and said, look, this one is going to stand on a pole. Let's treat that as just sunk cost and forget about the whole thing, because it is totally a pure vanity project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vince, followed by Councillor Emmy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was discussed at the entertainments meeting. It was first discussed at one that I couldn't get into because the link that I had didn't work, and I'm sorry about that, because I couldn't make my views clear till the next meeting when I did oppose the spending on this. It wasn't taken on board, and it was said that we need a flagpole. It was also said at that meeting, when I listened back, that the Bowls Club have a flagpole that they will give us. So we don't actually need to purchase one at all. I mean, I understand it will take money to get it sited, to get it moved, but we don't need to do that either at this time. This can wait to a later date, and we can recycle the flagpole that's at the Bowls Club. We've got to remember that only on Thursday this week, we've got a new food charity feeding the hungry of Boreham Wood and Elstree, WD6 food support, opening because of the great need to keep our residents fed. This is not the right time. We've just seen our council spend £60,000 on a bandstand, followed by now a flagpole. What next? They even would have liked, the council even would have liked this flagpole in the middle of the roundabout. I mean, it's going a bit far now, I think, and I'm opposed to this.
Thank you, Councillor Vince. Councillor Emmy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's surprising that most people that agreed about this project on the entertainment committee, due to politics now, are opposing it publicly. This is has been going on for almost a year now, the flag and the flagpole. And we finally agreed on what to do with that, competition and everything. So because of politics now, you're telling me that will be a wasted exercise. This pole we are talking about, it's not that we don't have flagpole in the town council offices. We have it for different flags. Likewise, we have other places to put the town flags, and that's why we need the poles. So this is a project that has been there already. So because of the issue now, we have to shelve it completely. The young children that competed, that were excited to get to this stage, those will be disappointed because of party politics. So I will ask the House that the money has been allocated to it already. Everything has been all done and agreed. Let's go ahead with it and approve this amount. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Emmy. Are there any other comments, or can we go to vote on this? Councillor Butler.
Yeah, I'd like to, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry if you could.
And then we go to vote. Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's funny that Councillor Ennie says about party politics when earlier on we see him try to gerrymander a vote due to party politics. So, you know, 3,500, if he wants to spend it, I'd quite welcome Councillor Ennie to go out there and fundraise for the 3,500. I'm sorry, but right at this time, I fully get behind my colleagues in the Labour group. I support the idea of competition. I support the idea of a flagpole in the future. Right now, this time, this year, it's wrong. And I'm sorry, it's going to go down looking wrong. And I'm against this, and I'd like to move the motion against.
You can't do. Mayor, if you're going, are you going to vote now, Mr. Mayor? Because
I'd like to go to vote if possible.
Yeah,
I thought you'd said that, Mr. Mayor. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. In this case, there's no motion against. You can't have a negative motion. You can't amend something in a negative way. It's simply going to be a vote. You're either for it or against it, and so it should be relatively straightforward. So the proposal is for £3,500 of the RT fees budget to be used for a flagpole and the purchase of flags for some location within Boreham Wood, and that's been proposed by Councillor Strack. Does it have a seconder?
I would be pleased to second it.
And Councillor Farrah-Turner to second it. So there's no negative motion against. You're either for it or against. Is that clear to everybody before we start voting? Yeah,
yes, thank you.
Councillor Clive Butchins, are you for or against?
Blimey.
You just unmute yourself, please, Clive. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please, Clive.
Sorry, same problem as before. Yes, I'm very proud of our town and I vote for.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Councillor Butchins. Councillor Richard Butler.
Yeah, I'm proud of our town too, but I'm against the flagpole.
Councillor Rebecca Challis.
Against at this current time.
Councillor Alpha Collins.
Against it.
Councillor Victor Eni.
For.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza.
Against, please.
Councillor Sam Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
Against.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
For.
Councillor Simon Rubner.
Against. For the motion, sorry.
For the motion.
Sorry.
Councillor Pat Strack.
For the motion.
Councillor Farrah-Turner.
For the motion.
Councillor Michelle Vince.
Against.
So that's followed the party lines, and so therefore that motion is then carried. And go on to the next item, Mr. Mayor. Try and keep it as streamlined as possible.
Yes, thank you very much. That's pick up on my behalf there. Item number 3, to utilise up to £10,000 of fireworks display budget for the NHS Thank You event in current or next financial year. It was previously agreed as an action plan by the Entertainments Committee on the 6th of October 2020, minute number 43. So are we agreed to utilise up to £10,000 of the fireworks display budget for the NHS Thank You event, either in the current or next financial year? Councillor Strack, followed by Councillor Newman.
I would like to propose that we do via the money and that we hold an NHS Thank You event.
Thank you. Councillor Newmark and then Councillor Butler.
Yeah, I'm just slightly confused because whilst this is obviously a wonderful idea, I think I originally suggested it actually whilst we were sitting in Councillor Parnell's garden. But this was originally discussed in terms of an event to celebrate.
You were at the entertainment meeting, Jeremy, so you could not.
Councillor Strack, by the chair, please.
This was originally discussed as an event to recognise and celebrate the efforts of all key workers. Obviously, NHS workers have played a particular role, but there are teachers and other key workers that have kept things going. And I would like, particularly if we're going to invest such a significant sum, just it to be clear that this event will be open to whichever selection criteria we use, a broad range of key workers from across the town.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Butler.
Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, no, I remember too, Councillor Newmark making that comment. You know, we've already heard tonight from Councillor Parnell, you know, a private conversation between two group leaders. So let's go there. You know, Councillor Newmark did make that comment. It was his idea that was mentioned in that garden where we had that meeting. And I fully support what Councillor Newmark is saying. He's absolutely right. This should be wider than just the NHS. And I only know too well what the NHS have done through this pandemic. After having to deliver my partner to and from a hospital where she actually cared for COVID patients. So, you know, we do take it on note that actually the NHS have done an outstanding bit of work, but I think this does need to be broader. I think the wording needs to extend to teachers and also shop owners, shop workers, you know, the waste disposal team that have constantly gone up and down our roads to take our waste away. You know, this is more than just the NHS. As much as we thank the NHS, we do need to look at other key workers. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Strack.
Right, I'm totally in sympathy with the wording. I have 5 teachers in my family, I have nurses in my family, I have paramedics, and I have people that have worked as key workers throughout the pandemic and continue to work. So I'm happy to not to argue about the wording, but I do want to propose that we utilise the money, the £10,000, and if we need more money, then there'll be money in the entertainment budget to do that. So I would propose that we do via £10,000, and who will second that for me?
I'm happy to second that, Mr. Chair.
Colleagues, so can we change the wording to key worker thank you event?
Yep.
Yeah, agreed, Mr. Mayor.
Key worker, yes.
So we're changing the wording to key worker. Do we need to vote on this, or is there unanimous agreement?
No, because it is in itself an amendment, so you'd be voting on that, and then if that's carried, then that's the end of the story.
So we're changing it to utilise up to £10,000 of fireworks display budget for a key worker thank you event in current or next financial year, as previously agreed as an action plan by the Entertainment Committee on the 6th of October 2020. So the change is from NHS thank you event to key worker thank you event.
So,
can we go to vote?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll go to vote. I've got a feeling this may be unanimous, but I'll go through the list in any event. Councillor Clive Butchins, you for that?
I'm for that motion.
Councillor Richard Butler.
For.
Councillor Rebecca Chalice.
For.
Alfred Collins.
I'm for the motion.
Councillor Victorini.
For.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza.
For.
Sam Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
For.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
For.
Councillor Simon Rudner.
I'm for the event.
Councillor Pat Strack.
I'm for it.
Councillor Farida Turner.
For.
Councillor Michelle Vince.
For.
So as assumed there, Mr Mayor, it's a unanimous vote in favour, and then the Entertainments Committee will look about fleshing out that item to see how the key workers can be honoured in this way. So moving on to Roman numeral 3 is the £2,000 for the pre-festival event budget to be used for a memorial service.
Yes, so it's to utilise up to £2,000 of a pre-festival event budget for the COVID-19 memorial service in the current and next financial year. Also previously agreed as an action plan by Entertainments Committee on the 6th of October 2020, minute 43. And also, I think we should discuss 3 and 4, if that's okay. And to utilise all the new initiative budgets of £2,500 and £2,340 of item purchase hire budget for the purpose of installing electrical supply for Christmas lights and All Saints frontage costing £4,839. Do we want to do this as 2 or as 1? Do you want to agree them both together or discuss them separately?
Mr Mayor, I think they you could argue that they could be discussed together, but I think we should just continue as the agenda set out and actually just do them one-on-one, just so it's clear if anyone's watching the webcast back. And I do wish to make a comment on number 3, the utilisation of £2,000 when you're ready to give me permission to do so, Mr Mayor.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Councillor Strack. Councillor Strack, are you agreed with Councillor Butler? We discuss it as in the other points separately?
I would like to propose that we do use £2,000 for a memorial service. It would be an inclusive service to ensure that all faiths and none are represented, and I think that we may also need to increase that, but we did agree at entertainment, and as chair of entertainment I would like to propose that we vote for the environment of the £2,000. So who will second that for me?
Mr Mayor, I'm actually happy to second that. So if I can just make my comment as well, if I may, sure. Mr Mayor, I just want to clarify that this will be led by the Town Council, and just the wording, if we're going to advertise it as a memorial service, could we maybe consider just changing the wording to memorial ceremony rather than service? I think it says something more, just changing that wording around, Mr Mayor. As long as Councillor Strack's happy with that, I'm then happy to second that motion.
I'm quite happy with the wording to be changed. I just feel that we need to use this money to remember those people that have given their lives for us during COVID.
So Councillor Butchins followed by Councillor Parnell and Councillor Cars afterwards.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I was just thinking about which venue might be appropriate for such a thing, and if we wanted to make it inclusive. If we actually want to get a lot of people along, we might want to think about using somewhere like the football stadium for a large event.
So,
if we can. But it's for discussion at the entertainment.
We leave that to the Entertainment Committee. Councillor Parnell.
I would just say we're all agreeing to it. We're all agreeing with this, although everybody hasn't spoken. But it's such a great thing to do for these people. What more debate do we need about it? We need to agree to it, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Parnell. Councillor Kaza.
I have just one point on this. We should hold this event, ceremony, service, whatever you might call it, after it's no longer a pandemic. After COVID-19 is no longer
Councillor Kaza, that's for the Entertainment Committee to decide. I'm very pleased.
What I mean is, it should not be in the current year when people are still dying.
Okay, that's for the Entertainment
Committee. For the Entertainment Committee.
That's the Entertainment Committee to
no, because
decide.
it's current, yeah.
I'd just like to say I'm very pleased that this motion is being forwarded and seconded by members of both our parties. I think we're all in agreement on this. Do we need to go to a vote, or is there unanimous? Or is this unanimous?
Yes.
Unfortunately, Mr Mayor, I think we should go with the process that we've continued. I know it makes the meeting longer, but I think we need to be absolutely clear for anyone watching this, and I think we should go through the vote as normal.
In which case, Mr Mayor, I'll be very quick if you're asking me to go to the...
Yes, please.
So, Councillor Butchins.
4,
Butler,
For.
Chalice,
4,
Collins,
4,
Heaney,
For.
Kaza,
4,
Lawrence,
4,
Newmark,
4,
Parnell,
4,
Rubner,
4,
Strack,
4,
Turner,
4,
Vince.
Sorry, 4.
That's unanimous again, Mr. Mayor. So go to the Entertainments Committee, and I have some updated information to provide the Entertainments Committee about a type of memorial structure and indeed an alternative location for it than that had been previously considered. But I won't hold up this meeting by going into that now, but it will be to the Entertainments Committee. So the next item, Mr. Mayor, is Roman.
Item number 3 is to utilise up to £2,000 of pre-festival
No.
event.
No, 4.
That's number
Item
4,
four.
sorry, it's me. My rule is on, I've got a rule which I use and I put it on the wrong page.
Going backwards.
To utilise all of new initiative budget of £2,500 and £2,340 of item purchase hire budget for the purpose of installing electrical supply for Christmas lights and other events at All Saints Church frontage, costing £4,839.96. Do we have any comments on it?
Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Strack.
Right, I would like to propose that we do this. I have long felt that we should have had a bigger presence in the middle of our town. It would have been nice if we'd have been able to light it up, as Dan had hoped to do for the NHS when we were clapping for the NHS and other key workers during COVID. We have lots of events there, sometimes to do with the church, other times not. It's 96 as well. It's a community centre. I would like to see that we spend the money while we can and it's a legacy that we will leave for future use.
Thank you, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support this. However, I just have a question that needs to be answered. Who will own the installation? Who will pay for the bill of the installation when it's being used? I mean, the actual energy costs. So other than that, they're my two questions. I'd like those questions answered. However, I am in supportive of this because I think it's like putting infrastructure into our community. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Any other comments on this? Can we go to vote then, please?
Mr. Mayor, you can obviously go to a vote. I just hearing Councillor Butler's question.
Yeah.
We're privileged that Dan Salter, the entertainments officer, has sat through this council meeting. His hair will be turning white as mine has. I wonder whether he's able to answer the question that Councillor Butler asked.
Yeah, it will be ours. The county council will install it. Lamps and Tubes will do the wiring, but it will be ours. We will pay for it. We will pay for the electricity that get used from it.
Thank you. Do we need to go to vote on this, or can we have a vote, please?
Right. Okay. So the proposal is for the environment to happen. In effect, it seems that the initial budget wasn't sufficient to cover the total costs, and so that's why that sum is being sought also from the purchase hire budget. So in line with the motion as set out in Roman numeral 4, Councillor Strack, did you have a seconder? Councillor Butler, you seconded.
Seconded.
Councillor Butchins, are you for the motion? Against? Okay. You're muted again, but I read your lips. So I'm not going to come back to you.
I'm for the
motion. Butler.
For.
That's a good one.
Councillor Rebecca Chalice.
For.
Councillor Alpha Collins.
I'm for the motion.
Councillor Victor Eni.
For.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza.
I thought you could read my lips. For.
Your stars was in the way, sir. In the way. Councillor Sam Lawrence.
For.
Councillor Jeremy Newmark.
For.
Councillor Sandra Parnell.
For.
Councillor Simon Rubner.
For the motion.
Councillor Pat Strack.
For.
Councillor Farida Turner.
Or
And Councillor Michelle Vince.
Or
There's a unanimous vote in favour. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we move on to item number 7, the 2021 council meeting schedule. Full council is asked to approve the 2021 meeting schedule as recommended by the General Management Committee at its meeting on the 15th of October 2020, and the schedule is in the pack that was sent to us by Hugh Jones. Can we approve the 2020 meeting schedule?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Councillor Button,
Sorry, I have a question. Sorry.
Councillor Button.
Yeah, I noticed that there are meetings scheduled for the 4th and 5th of May, which are the 2 days immediately prior to the county council elections, which is when party activists tend to be rather tied up doing party things. And most of the councillors here, I suspect, might be considered to be party activists. So I was wondering whether that was an appropriate time to hold those 2 meetings.
Point.
Any comments on this?
No.
Councillor Strack.
I just think we go ahead with this because it's very difficult to get these dates sorted out. We've been round and round. I think we just do it.
Mr. Mayor, if I can talk on a matter of protocol, the policy we have for setting meeting dates, which, as I've said at other places, is probably the longest policy on that topic than any other local authority has, specifically states that whilst election dates should be avoided, it's a silence on the point of dates immediately prior to the election date. So it would be in line with the policy to approve it as is. Of course, the meeting schedule can change from time to time, and we've seen it change perhaps more than in any other year in the last 12 months because of the terrible situation the authorities found itself in. But it is a movable feast of sorts. So we will be responsive through the chairman for changes, but we'll try to avoid those so that people can have these dates set in their diaries with some certainty. There's always needs to be a good reason to change your meeting dates because it's very, very difficult. As Councillor Strack has said, because of the various criteria we have to take into effect. One point I will make is that the Hertsmere Borough Council calendar goes up, I think, to the end of July, and so we don't have the dates from August to onwards. So we don't know whether there will be some clashes there, and if there are, then we usually give precedence to the borough meetings. If it's a full council meeting at the borough, we'll seek to avoid a full council meeting of our own, etc. So we aim to be as thorough and as fair as possible, and to follow our procedure, which is looked at the General Management Committee to decide whether it's the right way forwards.
Thank you very much. Councillor Newmark, followed by Councillor Parnell.
You need to...
I was just briefly going to make the point that I think elected councillors have to place their work as elected councillors over and above party politics, and Clive will just have to get somebody else to deliver his leaflets for him.
Councillor Parnell.
I'm not even going to smile at that, Jeremy. Could we please we've agreed this came to a General Management Committee. It's all in front of us, straightforward. Could we agree it, please? I have no idea why this discussion is going through.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Parnell. Can we, echoing Councillor Parnell's comments, are we agreed that...
So the motion's being proposed...
Councillor Collins.
Yeah, I think the reason why I think we need to find another date, given the fact that we have this county council election that is going to be carried out, and most councillors are going to be very, very busy at that time.
We just have to make. Can I just come back, please?
Yes.
We have to just make. We agreed it then, and we just have to make time, and we have to get our lives together and make time for this. This is the town council. You are a town councillor. this is what we do, and this is the schedule. Please agree.
I agree. I
So,
agree.
Excuse me, Chair.
Collins,
Excuse me, Chair. Chair, you see, people can always make amendments, and I think an amendment should be made with regards to the date, because a lot of us are going to be very busy with regards to politicking in the interest of our constituents.
Councillor Strack.
Do you know what? Our meetings last perhaps an hour, 2 hours. I think it's incumbent upon us to give up that time to our town council and let someone else deliver the leaflets. Just as Jeremy said, I think we go ahead and vote for this as is.
So this is so colleagues, do we need to go to vote on this, or can we agree that we agree with the dates? Does anybody?
Mr. Mayor, I think we can agree it.
Is everybody agree?
Oh, thank you, Richard.
Agreed.
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 So we agreed with the dates as they are.
Agreed.
Item number 8 on the agenda is the mayoral report and report of outside bodies. Members are asked to limit reports to a maximum time of 3 minutes each. So we're going to start with my coronavirus report, and then from members detailing actions taken by councillors during the pandemic. So just want to say that we're in our second lockdown. I hope shops will be allowed to reopen next week. We know they will be open to allow traders to recoup some of their lost trade. Without our custom, our local shops will be unviable and they'll have to close. So my message is to all of us is to shop locally where possible to sustain our high streets and shopping parades. I've been volunteering with the charity Goods for Good, who are collecting new and unworn pants and socks for men, women and children to be distributed to vulnerable refugees. My thanks go to Studios Rotary and Bournemouth United Synagogue for partnering in this initiative. Should any councillor wish to get involved, please do let me know. I've also been volunteering with Gratitude, and I'm delighted to announce that thanks to help from our Member of Parliament, Oliver Dowden, Gratitude has been given the old library in Elstree Way to use rent-free for the time being until a decision is made regarding the vacant building. So if you know anybody that would like some really good quality fresh food for free, it's the old library in Elstree Way. They're open 7 days a week. If you check Gratitude's Facebook page, you'll get the exact timings. I also visited Yavna College as a guest of Gratitude and the school as part of Yavna's work with the charity assembling food parcels for the needy. This was part of Mitzvah Day, which is the country's largest interfaith social action day. Alongside other members of this authority and representatives of other local organisations, I attended a pre-recorded Armistice Day event at the town's War Memorial. This took place before lockdown in a COVID-safe way. My thanks go to Andrew Grady and George McGregor for their contributions to the event and to the various organisations for ensuring this very important date in our diaries went ahead in a COVID-compliant manner. I'd just like to finalise by saying that I'd like to congratulate Councillor Rabbi Alan Clancy on his reappointment as Borough Mayor, whilst remembering Councillor Cynthia Barker, may she rest in eternal peace. Would any other councillors like to comment on what they've been up to during the pandemic?
Well, I think Mr. Mayor, we've said what I think what we've been doing. We've been delivering. Actually, our last thing we've been delivering are roses in a little pot to 130 members. We delivered Pat and I delivered them, and they loved it. We had many phone calls, and it was just great to see their faces. Thank you.
Councillor Strack.
Well, also we started for DR96, we got a grant from Hertsmere Borough Council, Health and Wellbeing, and it was a long time coming, but we started Zoom exercises today for our members, and that will be twice a week. It's quite funny, but it is keeping them entertained as well as exercised. We are about to be delivering Christmas vouchers from Tesco's, £10 each to all our members. the other things that we have been doing, we're about to become involved in the new vaccine hubs that will be set up in the town. We're not quite sure how many hubs there will be, but Hearts Valley CCG are asking for volunteers to come forward so that when the vaccine becomes available, as many people as possible will receive it as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Councillor Strack. Councillor Vince.
Thank you. We've a group's been very busy over the pandemic, probably the busiest we've ever been. We've been out delivering food, prescriptions here. We've assisted in Potter's Bar, we've assisted in Bushy and Radlett. We've got a new program at the moment, program scheme, where we are collecting warm winter coats and giving them out. And we're doing adult coats, and our Labour youth are doing children's coats. They will go into some of the food projects that are running, but at the moment, because people can't try anything on, it's not so easy to have coats available for them. And we've also been sending warm clothing to the refugees.
Thank you very much, Councillor Vince. Anything else? Any other comments? Right, so we'll move on now to item number 2, outside bodies reports as follows. It's understood that many of these organisations may not have met since the last council meeting. I'm going to now call on the Town Clerk, Hugh Jones, to report on Fairway Hall.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Strack has said that our meetings last for 2 hours. Actually, we're 10 minutes beyond that now, so I will aim to be as succinct as possible. There are 3 points I would like to make. The first is that work has continued to rejuvenate Fairway Hall over the period. It is looking excellent now and is a first-rate facility, so that when we hopefully hire it out again, it will be in pristine condition to do so and really be a top venue. The second is concerning in connection with that, there has been updated guidance for the use of multi-purpose community facilities in November. I just want to tell you what those are for the purpose, and I will include them within the minutes because we are often asked, when are you opening the hall again? Why can't we do this? What are we allowed to do? And it says those who are responsible for community facilities must ensure that the community centre or hall is closed, except for, and these are the exceptions, providing essential voluntary services or urgent public support services. So that would be the provision of food banks or provisions for the vulnerable or homeless, etc. Secondly, for purposes of education or training, where the education is towards a formal qualification. So if it's simply a lecture or something loosely educational, it will not qualify. It has to be for a formal qualification. Thirdly, for the purposes of support groups, and finally, for the purposes of registered childcare or supervised activities for children. The supervised activities for children would be included as a legitimate grounds to use a community hall at this time. And it goes on to say that those who are responsible for community facilities can continue to access these venues to maintain the properties and to ensure that they receive deliveries and carry out security, which is what we're doing with the caretakers and the Fairway Hall supervisors at the moment, is maintaining the buildings and keeping them safe for you. That's that very important point. And finally, I will say that I have checked again with the National Association, and the advice is for us to continue with remote meetings of the council and the committee. And I appreciate, as we've seen this evening, members, it can be incredibly frustrating, and nobody more than I would like us to be able to meet in person again. But at the moment, those are the guidelines that we've been asked to follow. NALC has produced a set of guidance for holding council meetings in person. I do not believe that, I'm happy to share this with you, that we would at the moment qualify as being a council to be able to meet face-to-face, even at the very first hurdle, because we do have a facility through this Zoom webinar of being able to meet otherwise than in person. So I think we would struggle to justify in-person meetings at the present time. But ultimately, it could be a decision for council to make. Not only councillors, but also the staff as well would have to have some say in this. And there ends my report, sir.
Thank you very much, Hugh. Leeming Aycliffe, Big Local. I haven't had any communication. I don't know if Councillor Vince has. Councillor Vince?
I have not. No,
There haven't been any meetings.
No.
No. Okay. Councillor Collins, Elstone Broadwood Museum Group.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Chair. I wish to acknowledge with thanks to all of my colleagues for their support, especially to Councillor Clive Butchins, who is an executive member of the museum, along with Ms. Ruth Stratton and others who tirelessly volunteer at the museum. To begin with, the museum is staffed with just under 30 volunteers and is located at 96 Shendley Road in the building where the library is situated. It has been closed to the public since 16th of March this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Although it is closed to the public, volunteers are busy behind the scene, keeping the public abreast via Facebook and other social media of the museum activities. The volunteers are currently busy trying to create a temporary display on the ground floor in the Internet Cafe area if restriction is lifted in December of this year. If all goes well, volunteers at the museum plan to have a continuation of the exhibition of Hobby City until the summer. During the autumn, it is hoped we will have a new set of exhibitions. A while back, a charity near number 96 Shendley Road closed down. The museum tried to negotiate means to use the premises window in order to display some exhibits. Sadly, the company that manages the property informed the museum that it had already rented out the property to others. According to Councillor Butchins, the trustees approved the report and accounts of the museum, and these were uploaded to the Charities Commission website in late October. Meanwhile, I am pleased to point out that we are optimistic and looking forward to better days ahead in receiving the public come post COVID-19. Thanks, that was my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Collins. Councillor Vince, Bournemouth and Elstree Twin Town Association.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vince, and Councillor Parnell, Elstree Bournemouth and District Community Association. Councillor Parnell, Councillor Butler.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Alan Manor has welcomed back key support groups, example, Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, and an exercise group that have 15 people in it, as well as children's play groups, both of which are permitted to meet despite the November lockdown. Because they're support workers, they're allowed to do this. As part of its community support programme, the Board of Trustees has offered free of charge to the National Health Service Hearts Valleys CCG the use of a large portion of their car park for a patient assessment centre. This facility will carry out clinical consultations by appointment only. It is not a COVID-19 test centre. A joint press release will be issued when the PAC opens on the 30th of November. The Board of Trustees are also discussing with the Hertsmere Primary Care Network of GP practices the potential use of Allen Hall as a 7 days a week COVID-19 vaccination centre from mid-December. Allen Manor's AGM will be held by Zoom, probably in mid-December. Invitations to follow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just make one comment, please, Mr. Mayor, to say thank you to Councillor Sandra Parnell for her tribute to Jim McKean as well, that appeared in the Town Cry magazine. I think that spread that has been done by the Town Cry committee, I take my hat off to them. I think it's a very nice bit for Jim McKean. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Butler. Councillor Rennie, Hertsmere Menka.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last time I informed the meeting of the planned face-to-face meeting of the Hasme Men Cap. Unfortunately, that was suspended due to the second lockdown. However, they continue to provide services for their members virtually. They are in a situation whereby they need more volunteers to support them with what they are doing. So if you know anybody or any member who would like to support them, that would be great. Most of the work will currently be virtually until everything settles, like drivers and anybody who can help with the children. Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Councillor Rennie. And Communities First, Councillor Kerner or Councillor Kaza, or have any of you got a report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I've mentioned in the past, they no longer invite us to their meetings. So might I suggest that this item is excluded from future agendas? It seems a little pointless. Thank you.
Yeah, could we remove this Communities First from the agenda?
Happy to do that, Mr. Mayor. That issue was actually considered at a previous council meeting, and you decided to keep the item in case something came up under the heading, knowing that actually, when they say excluded from future meetings, I think it's all but the annual general meeting.
Yeah. Are members agreed on that?
But
we could leave it if you wish. I mean, I don't mind.
Members, if you want to exclude, take it out or leave it in, it's entirely up to you.
I think we've got consensus to take it out apart from the annual general meeting.
Right,
yeah,
so
just report. Yeah, I was about to say that, Mr. Mayor, if we wouldn't just mind having a report back at the annual general meeting, because I think we do need to keep our communications out there within in the public, especially in areas such as Communities First, because there may be a time that we actually may need to help them. So I think we should at least report back the AGM. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Butler. Alderman Country Park, Councillor Strath.
There's nothing really much to report except that Hartsmere Borough Council planners are still in discussions with Liberty Leisure Limited. The Gosrani brothers met with members of the Ordnance Country Park Trust and had discussions. Herts County Council are in discussions with Liberty Leisure because the gate is open due to an injunction taken out earlier, which runs out on the 20th of January 2020, and Herts County Council are in discussions about whether the gate will be left open or whether another injunction will be necessary. The DMMO, that is to get a right of way for public access around the reservoir. There's still no news. It's with the Planning Inspectorate, and we hope that it will be settled soon, but who knows?
Thank you, Councillor Strack, and Maxwell Park Management Group, Councillor Newmark.
Thank you, Chair. Simply to report that the community centre has continued to operate on the basis that I outlined in my previous report, other than through the lockdown period when obviously the centre has been closed.
Thank you very much, Councillor Newmark. First impressions, is it Councillor Parnell or Councillor Collins?
Right. This is not really, well, there is something to report, really. The £80,000 that they awarded us for the station, they're going to do, we asked for different things, but they couldn't do it. They said it was too expensive. So we've got 2 benches opposite the disabled access doors on the trains, 1 bench near the waiting room, and 1 bench near the planters. That's 4 benches. They're also buying 4 large shrubs on the taxi island. So they're going to tidy up the overgrown bits and add planting on Alum Lane. That comes to £16,000. I don't know where, I don't know, they don't get, I don't think they get people to give them estimates. Anyway, and also the information kiosk, they're going to replace the previous bus information kiosk and deliver a wide range of information on demand on another kiosk. And the cost is £64,000, and that takes us all our money. This is the, I don't know if you can see it. This is the kiosk now that there's, can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. This is what they're going to put up, and it's by demand. You put your finger on it, and you will find out your information. Won't be good at the moment because we can't do that, can we? We can't touch things. So that's what they're doing for £80,000. That's my report. I'm sorry, it's not more more to it, but that's all there is. I mean, to spend £80,000, £16,000 on 4 benches and some planting, but we won't get it at all if we don't agree to that. So
I agree. And obviously we've got the new cycle hub, which cost hundreds of thousands of pounds to build. Nobody knows who does their building for them. I'd love a building contract personally, but it must be the same person that determines the fares.
Mr. Mayor, you had a report from Patrick, did you not? Didn't Bob send you a report?
Yes, he did, but you basically said what Patrick said.
This is what's happening, yes.
Yeah, yes, I received the same report.
Yeah.
Thank you. Item number 9, accounts for payment.
Mr. Mayor, I think Councillor Alfred Collins has got it.
I
see Councillor Vince and Eni also have their hands up, but I think
I do apologise. So we go Collins,
there might be hangovers from a previous part to speak. Councillor Carser has his hand up as well.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. In addition to what Councillor Parnell has said, I think that what I suggested earlier, because I'm a member of First Impression, we need some additional information so that we'll be able to pass over to our various groups. And given the fact that £80,000 is a lot of money, and just to spend £16,000 on 4 benches and a few things, and then the £80,000 is consumed, is very, very touching. You know, I'm seeing this to say, meaning that we need to go about and revisit this situation rather than being hasty, because the money is already there. We need to have a discussion among ourselves within the First Impression, given the fact that I'm a member of First Impression and I have to report back to my body, but I'm not being fully informed about issues with regards to First Impression. So I would like to bring this up for Councillor Parnell and others who are part of the group, for us to collectively work together, because actually, I mean, we are getting nowhere. I'm always kept in the cold. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you. Before I let Councillor Parnell speak, I just want to say that I've also been privy to the communications from Mr. Redmond, and my understanding is to take it or leave it. Councillor Parnell, you remember, you probably.
Yes, I am. Yes, I'd like to answer Councillor Collins. When Mr. Redmond sent the message out that he had this, you could have replied also, Councillor Collins. You could have got this report yourself instead of, I actually took the trouble to send him an email to say, could I have a report for a full council meeting this evening? That's how I got my information. We are not putting, it's not our money. They are like that. We've been trying to get this done since March. March, don't call us, we'll call you. September, nobody called. Meeting at the station, new cycle hub opened. They're dealing with Mr. Redmond. They're not dealing all with us. And we decided that was the right way to do it. So that's how our information comes about. But you're not kept in the dark in any way, because you have the ability to actually send Mr. Redmond an email to get this information as well as me. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor Collins.
Yes.
Councillor Collins, before you respond to.
Can I quickly respond to?
Yeah, but I just want
Councillor.
Just want to make Councillor Collins. I just want to make a quick comment before you respond to Councillor Parnell, to say that. Mr. Redmond doesn't keep anybody in the dark. I know, because I'm privy to many of the communications that he gives out. Councillor Collins, if you'd like to respond to Councillor Parnell's remarks.
Yeah, I would thank so much, Chair. What I'm trying to get across is some information. Take for an example, I received some email, of course, and I was told that, there was some glitch and other things. But I'm saying this to say that I will personally welcome
I can't hear you. It's
us working together and let information flow, let it be disseminated properly.
Councillor Collins, you're breaking up. I'm going to move to Councillor Cars and then come back to you when hopefully your internet will be working.
You couldn't hear what he was saying.
Yeah, exactly. Councillor Cars and then back to Councillor Collins. Councillor Cars.
The chairman, I just want to make a small point. There was an internet kiosk on the platform in Boramwood station before, which very few people were using it. Very few knew that it was there. After some time, because it was not being used and not working, it just disappeared one day.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cars.
Can I please just come back on that? It's nothing to do with us. It's the British.
I know.
It's Thames Link.
We don't have much of influence on Redmen or this Thames Link, but I thought I'll just make the point that the kiosk was there before.
So, Councillor Kaza, I'd like to invite you to the next transport forum where you will hopefully you'll be able to question the representatives from Go Thames Link yourself. Going back to Councillor Collins, would you like to respond again? Hopefully your internet is working better. Councillor Collins.
Oh yes, thanks ever so much, Chair. I was just saying that it would be more appropriate for information to be disseminated, frequently. That's all. Because there are times, I think sometimes I'm told there are glitches that which restricts me from getting the necessary information. But I know the chairman Redmond is a good person, and he works tirelessly in the interest of our community, which I personally am there to help to buttress his effort. I'm saying to say that I welcome it, but only thing, information needs to be transferred evenly. That's also that I myself I'll be able to disseminate such information to my group, because I'm representing the labor group at First Impression. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other? Can we move on from here? Any more comments regarding First Impressions? So,
can I, Mr. Mayor, before you move on, I just would like to say to Councillor Collins, if you send an email to Mr. Redmond, you will get that same information to tell your group.
So
that's all the information I got, so you can take it back to your group. He's not stopping you doing that.
You see, Councillor Pandel, you have not understood what I'm trying to drive at. I received certain emails and think that there were glitches with regards to disseminating information to me. You know, that's what I'm trying to get across.
Councillor Collins, I'd like to end this conversation.
There's no need. We've already understood one another and think there's no need for us to there should be a status.
Let's discuss this outside this meeting, please.
May I make a recommendation? I have a chat with Councillor Strack, Parnell and Collins, so that we can resolve this outside of this. Otherwise, we'll be here till next week.
The next full council meeting.
No, I'm happy to have a chat with Councillor Strack, Parnell and Collins. Thank you.
Councillor Parnell, colleagues, this conversation needs to be done outside of the full council meeting. But the only thing I want to say is that when councillors go to outside bodies, we represent Elstree and Bournemouth Town Council and the residents of this town as a whole, and not our particular political group. I'd like to move on to item number 9, accounts for payment, to confirm the payments of accounts as approved as follows. Can we just approve them as a whole, or would anybody like to make a comment? Or is there anything that the clerk would like to say regarding the payments?
No, Mr. Mayor, I think they can be agreed as a whole.
Councillor Kaza.
Yes, I have one point to make, because in this particular sheet that you're giving us, it just says page number, voucher, date and amount. If you at least write down for what purpose that payment is made, we know what you're approving.
The appendix,
item number 9 on your item number 9.
They're all listed.
But on this sheet, if we can make just one more column.
Because there's 14 pages of
there's 14 pages given, but since you're saying page number 1, page number 2, some major item at least or something, I mean, otherwise.
No, we have in the appendix book. All of them are listed. Every item is accounted for, including its VAT amounts, the nominal code and expenditure code, together with the statutory power to make the payments. The auditors said that our procedures are excellent, Councillor Cousin.
Okay, now that you've taken this point, if you can at least make it, horizontal and not vertical, it will be useful.
Your comments have been noted. Councillor Cosy, your comments have been noted. I just want to move on to item 11 on the agenda, public participation.
Oh no, item 10, Mr. Mayor, please.
Sorry, item 10. Sorry, I do apologise. Annual return 2019-2020. To note that at the time of agenda publication, the 2019-20 annual return has not been returned to the Town Council by the external auditors. Hugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't speak over you. And since that time, I'm happy to report that we have finally, it's taken longer than usual for obvious reasons, received the external auditors report. And I have now the completed annual return for the year, which has come back once again for the 10th year in the row as an unqualified audit. And this has been reported to the in-house auditors. However, for completeness, I will need to take this to the next council meeting. I'm sorry to bring it to you again and delay the meeting, but that will have to happen as for our formal procedures to be carried out. But I'm happy to say and thank Dan Salter this evening. Also wish to thank Tracy Moulton for her help in obtaining this unqualified audit at a very difficult time when it wasn't easy to find the information that the external auditors were asking for when one was working between two offices, between a home office and an office here at Fairway Hall, where I am now. So I just wish to note my thanks to her.
And could I, if all our members agree, could I, on behalf of the members of this council, thank yourself, Tracy Moulton, Dan Salter, and anyone else who is involved in this unqualified audit. It's great news, and that's why we're a quality council, because we've got quality staff.
Absolutely, we agree.
So thank you very much, Hugh. If you could minute that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item number, and apologies for missing that as well. Item number 11, public participation. 15 minutes of the meeting will be given over to questions from members of the public relating to Town Council business. My understanding is there is no public here anymore at the meeting.
That's correct. There may be people watching on YouTube, Mr. Mayor, but they're unable to join. But yes, there are no attendees at the moment.
At the meeting to speak. So I'd like to now to 21:35 hours. Councillor Strack wants to make a comment.
It says the date of the next meeting is the 13th of January at 7:30.
Yes.
We meet at 7, do we not?
If you read the line below that, Councillor Strack, in square brackets, it says to note that in 2021.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
7:30. But thank you very much. You must keep me on my toes, because we do. That was because of the new schedule coming into effect in the new year. Although there may be, given the fact that it's
we need to stick.
There may be some advantage in starting at 7, but actually, on a serious note, some members, because they've started working again. Councillor Rubner, I know, struggles to come back on the Thameslink train in time for the 7 o'clock start. So there is some method in our madness.
Okay.
So, colleagues, I'd like to say, before I close the meeting, I'd say I welcome the start at 7:30. I've yet to have my dinner. I came straight from work, straight upstairs to this council meeting, and I'm pretty hungry. So I'm looking forward to some dinner and a wee gram afterwards.
A wee gram. I'll join you in that.
So I'd like to thank you all, and to close this meeting, 21:36 hours, and look forward to seeing you all at the next full council meeting, 13th of January 2021 at 7:30 p.m.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Christmas and happy holidays, everybody.
Very happy Christmas to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Wish everybody
Good night.
all the best.
Bye.
Thanks, and bye, everybody.
Can I wish all the staff at the Town Council a happy Christmas? And in case I don't see you before, I probably won't, but I wish you the best.
Thank you, and you too, Michelle. Thank you. Going to stop recording.